Hello everyone, welcome to another video about the Korg DSN-12 synthesizer. Um, this video is more about the question how can we actually compose music, and it will be about the Korg DSN-12 synthesizer, but also generally about composition of music itself, so it might be useful to other people as well. So what actually makes up a musical composition, or what is actually a piece of music? It's basically an interplay or dance of different musical elements or musical entities. So for example, we have the musical entity of the bass drum, which may be responsible for showing the rhythm of a musical composition. Then we maybe have a bass tone which might accompany the rhythm, and I don't know, what actually does bass do? I'm not so sure. Maybe I will remember later on. Then we have melody, so a more high-pitched tone than the bass, and we might also have some mid-range or high-range tones, elements. And all of these elements, more or less, in a good musical composition, all of these elements work together. So the bass and the mid-range and the melody and so forth, they all share something. And this may be a rhythm, and with the rhythm also a certain way of movement. Also, let's to make this less abstract, let's just try something. And I just have to say, I'm more or less improvising, so this might fail. So, but still, there's I think a lot to be learned by failure. I just remembered a quote, I think, from Winston Churchill, which somehow goes along the line of success is basically a succession of failures without losing heart. So you just keep failing, but you become better at it, or you don't care about failure. You learn from failure. So let's try and fail and learn something. Let's start out with a simple rhythm, and of course the most basic rhythm is the 4/4 beat, where we have 4 beats and a how should I say it? They have the same distance to one another, and they just keep repeating this distance and this movement. So it's a very monotone movement, and of course you all know it. I just want to make this a little less piercing. So we have something like this. And I think we can also, we can already start doing quite a lot with it. I mean, it's a very simple rhythm, and it's probably intellectually not really stimulating, but still there's merit to it. It kind of gets us pumped up, and can very easily add some interesting elements to it. So, for example, if we have a closed hi-hat, we can add it between those beats, and maybe just every second measure, and then it sounds like this. And it's already kind of interesting, I guess. So we may, but it's still rather monotone. So I think one way we could break this monotony and retain its quality, but still make it more interesting, is to somehow have an offbeat snare at some point. So let's have it here. Normally you would have it here, so it more or less plays simultaneously with one of the kick drums. But let's have it here and see how it goes. And I think that's already an interesting beat. And an interesting rhythm section that we can work with. So maybe we now want to add another element to it. We have a rhythm section, and we could, I guess, make it more interesting with some variation to the percussive elements of our drum section, or by adding other percussive elements. But we can also add, for example, a bass sound. So let's try and create one. So let's set the octave a little lower. Yeah, that's a very simple bass sound. I already adjusted the cutoff frequency of our filter, but it's more or less the standard sawtooth wave. Let's cut it off a little and maybe give it some release. Not so much. Okay, and let's try to do something with it. Let's try to integrate it into our rhythm section. I'm not really content with this one. Maybe it should be a little lower. Yeah, that's okay. Let's try and record this. Okay, so now we have a little loop with a bass sound added to it, and we can now either add further elements or try to variate what we already have. And I'm not sure which way I want to go. I think usually I would now add further elements, maybe something higher pitched, something in the mid-range, I don't know, maybe some kind of pad or a stabby melody element. But this time around I just want to variate what I already created. And to do so, I just make a copy of my pattern, and I will copy it here. And I do so because this gives me a better overview of what I have already created, and I know that this is a variation of this, and yeah, you could also put it here, so it doesn't really matter. So let's try and variate what we already have. So I think the kick drum should stay the same. So maybe let's have some variation to the I don't know, to the hi-hat and to the snare sound. So here we have the hi-hats, and right now they play like this, and maybe I want to make the hi-hats of this pattern a little more pronounced. So let's see what we can do. So they have a rather fast decay to the lowest sustained frequency. Let's make the decay a little longer and see how this. Yeah, decay and the release. So I opened it up a little more, and let's just see how this sounds in succession to our previous pattern. I think that's interesting already. And let's also change the position of our snare sound, which is more or less the break of our monotone rhythm. And right now the break is here, but maybe let's have it at some other place. Let's have it a little earlier, I guess. Let's try it. Nah, I'm not content. Maybe this. Nah. Let's try it here. Yeah. No, it's not really a break. That sounds good, but I guess it's the same position as here. No, it's not. Okay, let's try it again. Let's listen to this in succession, and we could also already use our pattern program, so we don't have to do this manually. So let's play. Oh, of course, it's this pattern. Okay, and I think we should also modify our bass sound. So right now it's kinda it has a rather fast cutoff. Or maybe let's so we can add variation by changing the quality of our tone, but we could also maybe make some alteration to the rhythm and the positioning and the pitch of our bass. So let's try something out. Let's delete it and see if we can come up with something else. Okay. Nah, that doesn't sound too good. I didn't really hit it. Doesn't sound too good. Let's try something else, maybe. I kind of like the idea of it. I didn't plan this, but it kind of works. Let's listen again. I think the progression from this pattern, from pattern 1 to 5 is okay, but the regression back to pattern 1 kind of sounds off. I don't know. Let's listen to it again. Maybe we should already we should add some variation here for our third step. I'm not too sure though. Maybe let's just copy what we already have. And maybe yeah, let's see how this sounds. So I deleted the first two kick drums. Let's go to the pattern program. So maybe it would sound good if we deleted the whole kick drum section. And to do so, we don't really have to create a new pattern. Let's just use our pattern 5 and mute the first track. No, which track is the kick drum? It's the 7th track. See. Okay, let's try something out. So now we have more or less some kind of break in our general composition, where we start with all of the elements more or less opening up the scene. Then they change a little. Then the first element, maybe the most pronounced element, leaves. It's more or less the parent, the kick drum, which gives rhythm to all of the others. So it leaves and kind of leaves the children alone, so they can play freely. And at the end, it's more or less just okay, something's wrong with my recording.